Hey everyone, appreciate you all being here at USA Crypto Group for this AMS session. We have Innovia joining us today to discuss their project. Their mission is to bridge the gap between investors and projects and provide the necessary tools and resources for investors to make informed decisions on their investment. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome the team. Hey guys, pleasure to have you here. If you can start out introducing yourself, talking about your team, and giving us a bit of insight into your background and experience.
Hey, yeah, I want to first off say thanks for having us. This is a huge opportunity. But myself, I go by Zeus on here. I am the project lead. And really my background just comes from more of a business and marketing standpoint. So I've owned, a couple of businesses outside of the crypto space and worked in, I have a degree in graphics and marketing. And so I've worked for a couple agencies in that front, and I've really been involved with the crypto industry for about 6 years now. So I've been in depth in the DeFi space and looking to implement all that experience into this project. And I'll let the others introduce themselves. So we'll trickle down. We'll go to Tanner next.
Yeah, hey guys, my name's Tanner, and as far as my role in the project, a lot of it comes from the marketing and strategy side, helping Zeus out on future benefits that the project can offer, community engagement, and my background is really in sales and marketing itself. I currently run a couple companies in the U.S. right now as far as the recreational side of things go, and we really feel like that translates well into creating that community atmosphere and understanding what it takes to build for the long term in this market. And that's just really what it's about right now. So with that being said, we'll go to Saint next in the list.
All right. Hey there. This is Crypto Saint here. This is my third bull run. My specialty actually is in auditing contracts. I track funds, just about anything you can think of when it comes to working to look up things on the internet and searching the blockchain. That's what I do. And so I've taken that over the years and I've just tried to learn more and more from people. And now that's what I'm doing for Innovia. So on to Martin.
Hello guys, my name is Martin. I work in Innovia Trust as a security analyst, and I also do this in my day job. I have a few years experience in the Web 2 field, and recently I'm translating these skills to the Web 3 space.
Is that it from your team today?
That is it.
Yeah.
So we have, I'll say we have one other team member that is onboarded, but he won't be doing much until our escrow side of things comes into play later in the year. But we do have 5 team members, four of which are here.
So, well, I appreciate the introduction there, guys. So it seems like you guys have put together a pretty comprehensive team for what you guys are doing. Now, your mission is to bridge the gap between investors and projects, pretty much to provide all the necessary tools for research and for investors to make informed decisions. So before we start, what was the inspiration behind this idea?
Yeah, that's a great question. The main inspiration, I'll just say this, is ironic, and this is a big reason I reached out to Mike, actually. We were both involved in a project back in 2021, early 22, that we felt we were close with, and it turned for the worse, and everyone in that project, they rugged, developer sold, and actually had 2 projects combined. But that one kind of hit home hard because for me, actually, the project was in my hometown. The owner and the developer lived in my hometown. A couple of my friends knew them personally, and as far as I know, they kind of skipped town. And so that one really hit home. But I mean, over the years, just, every other project you look at is, a week from now is developer sold, or, it's back to launch price. And so it's just, us as a whole are getting sick of it. And so I think, I know all of us, probably every single person in this AMA has probably been affected by a shady project or a shady team. So we really want to shed the light on that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you've been to the space for a bit now, the space is filled with a lot of bad actors, like scammers, and trying to squeeze every single dollar they can. So I think when it comes to security and giving the investors the necessary tools, any tools really, pretty much to guide them better, in looking for projects to invest in. So I think that's very crucial, the space. And I feel like even till now, we just don't have enough of it, right? So I think it's a very, very important aspect of the space. But not only for that, but I think to allow the space to grow over time, right? And we need security is a big issue here, and we need that aspect in the space for sure. So I definitely see the vision and the mission behind it, and I think it's necessary. All right, so before we go on now, I know that the project is live already, and you guys just did a 42% within 24 hours. So congrats on that. Let's cover the basic, when was it launched, how it was launched, and what was the starting market cap?
Yeah, so we launched about 13 days ago, I believe it is, if my math is serving me. We launched on the 23rd of April, so just about 2 weeks, I believe. We had a 5% allocation for our private sale. That was divvied up between 15 participants in that, with max allocation would be 500,000 tokens, so 0.5% max bag for a private sale investor. And they actually got that at a $200,000 market cap. Our launching price for public was $10,000 market cap. So we wanted to give public, we didn't want private sale to have some huge monetary leverage over the public market. These were people that, want more of these projects in the space. They trusted our team. I've been around the people for quite a while now, so they saw the vision in the project, and just gave them a way of kind of alleviating away from taxes or stress of trying to jump in on a launch. And then the flip side of it is public sale got to have that chance at getting a really low market cap if they could. There's always snipers and things like that, but we kept max transactions at a 0.2% at the very launch, and then max buys were max bag was a 1% total. So we had a high taxes at launch. Those incrementally lowered to the five buy and sell that they are now. So we tried to take into account of bots and snipers that get in at launches and hopefully penalize them to an extent, and then lowered those taxes to the 5.5 they are now, and the max wallets at the 1% that they are now.
Okay, nice. All right, now are there any vesting tokens left that we should know about?
We have our we have a CEX wallet, a 5% CEX wallet that is locked for I don't have the exact date, another month, I believe. And that will continue to be relocked until we find a CEX that we want to allocate that to. And really, that's not in our near future. We don't see, we don't want to just onboard any CEX. We do want to find, a very reliable tier 2, tier 1 CEX when the time comes. So we'll just continue relocking that wallet until the time's right. And then we do have our 5 team wallets that are all locked for 6 months. Those ones will be relocked again as we see fit. So those we've allocated to the team, but that's not something that we're even focused on and are trying to worry about. I think the biggest one that we will focus on is the CEX one. And like I said, we're not going to actually unlock that one until the time's right. And that's something that will be announced and planned because it'll probably be locked when we make that partnership. And so we'll have to wait until that becomes unlocked to solidify that partnership and that listing.
Okay, good,
But
good. So you guys do have an allocation for sex listing the other line when the times or development at the right moment to do so.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's look at your chart really quick here. So looks like you said you guys launched this 13 days ago, and you had a pretty good launch. I think the chart looks looking really good, guys. So I encourage everyone to go over. I think we do have the link in the banner there, on the banner there. So click on that. Your chart is looking really good. So right now you're sitting at 328,000 market cap. The LP is at 119K. I think the ratio is pretty good. Now, I assume that your company does KYC and audit. So you guys actually, or you guys are audited in KYC, correct?
Yeah, so we are audited and KYC'd. Myself, I'm KYC'd through the Assure DeFi platform, and then our audit was performed by Assure as well. So we wanted to make sure that we had a reputable company representing us as well. We can't just audit and KYC ourselves. So we did want to find a good third-party company to take care of that for us.
I'm glad that you guys did not KYC and audit yourself.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, the chart looks really good, guys. So congrats on that. It looks like you guys almost there with, I mean, very close to all-time high actually. So did a launch, it went down like usual, but then it didn't really fall very far, and it went back up, and 43% yesterday. So all right, so I think that we got the basics out of the way. I know that you guys have quite a bit of utilities. Where would you like to start first?
I mean, we can just do a quick overview of what kind of our utilities are looking like, as far as, because that's always the biggest and most understandable question for investors is, why should I buy the token, or what's the utility? And audit and KYC projects are kind of hard to grasp as far as utility for the average investor, because big picture, what our project is doing is auditing and KYC and performing KYCs on new projects in the market. So how does an investor get involved in that aspect of things, right? Like, they're not the ones performing the actual audits or KYCs themselves. So what is their approach or involvement in the project, and why should they hold the token, is always an understandable question. Now, some of our audits, actually, I want to say, starting soon, all of our audits will probably be in some form or fashion having the community involved in some standpoint. We will have a private group coming up soon that basically just has a small buy and burn entry to that group, and in that group they'll have the access to basically the conversations that the team is having through our auditing process. The general or the private group will have access to that as well. So they'll gain access into kind of insider details on what those audits are looking like, what information is getting processed through those audits, and then they'll get, basically upfront training from, if you want to call it training, from Saint himself and Martin as well throughout those audits. So we want to involve the community as much as we can in that aspect of things. We do, of course, have the buyback and burn, which is always great for long-term holders. That'll always show appreciation for them. We wanted to stay away from revenue share. I know a lot of people are looking at revenue share. It's kind of I want to call it a hyped narrative at this point. I'm not really a fan of it, to be honest. I think it has a lot of financial and legality things surrounding it that are very hard to achieve for most projects. And I see a lot of projects who promise it and they're not handling it properly or legally. So we wanted to stay away from that. And as far as, we will have our escrow services down the line. That's going to be a huge utility for projects. That's going to be the fact of, we will, I don't know how many people are involved in real estate transactions around here, but we will be acting as a neutral third party between projects and investors and where those funds are going for that project. So if they're sending money off to marketing or some other agencies, some KOLs, we're kind of the signing name on that transaction. So I think that's going to be a huge one. I'm very excited for us to release that system, and then we will have a couple other small utilities coming about very soon. I don't want to elaborate too much on them as far as now, but they will involve the community a lot more as far as things and tools that they can use.
Okay, so I think that's actually going to be very beneficial. I think if you guys put a lot of emphasis on that, especially with new projects and investors able to get info before the projects launch, right, through you guys' audit. So I assume that within that private Telegram group, you guys will, in a way, give a score, or I guess give information to the people that are in there, your private people, what you think, or how the projects would do as far as security goes, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So they'll basically have real-time data. I want to call it real-time information as these audits are being performed. It'll be updated in that channel, and they'll have, I want to just call it real-time information and updates in that group.
Okay. All right. I think that sounds really interesting. Now, on your website there, Zoom, you guys have a section that says where crypto meets clarity. And I do want to go in depth on each category that you have on there. We spoke about your private room there. I think that's actually really cool. But let's start, because I do see a bunch of, there's a full project audits and there's smart contract audits. Let's start with that. Let's start with the full project audits, and maybe we're going to move to smart contract audits and what are the differences?
Yeah, of course. And this is where I'll have also Saint and Martin probably jump into, but overview of our full project audits and what we mean by that. That's really, a lot of these auditing companies will offer audits, and what that is basically a smart contract audit. And so they're doing that audit and that KYC, and comes back either, verified or denied. Well, on our full project audits, what we mean by that is we're diving into the project itself. Of course, we're going to go through that contract, see if any lines of code pop up as red flags. And when I say we, I mean Saint and Martin. I'm not in depth on that part. But we're going to go through those contracts, make sure any red flags pop up or not. And then we're going to be diving deep into that team as a whole and that project as a whole. So we're not going through just that contract. We're looking at transactions. We're looking at tax collecting wallets, deploying wallet, any top holder wallets, where those funds are going or where they came from. And then really diving deep into like background checks on team members as well. Are they who they say they are? And I can let kind of Saint take a deeper look into what that looks like.
Yeah, you basically covered a lot of it, but what a lot of the other places do is they just run the automatic audits and they don't check them. There's been ones that I've gone back and I've looked at manually myself, and I've realized okay, they're saying this doesn't have a blacklist. And then I go in it myself and I take looks around and I realize, okay, well, It doesn't have a generic blacklist, but it does things a different way and has a blacklist. So you can tell that some of these other places, they're just relying on the automated audit, and they're not really going themselves and going the extra step and taking a look at the contract manually. So we're doing both. We are doing the automated audit, but we're going back in there manually, and we're making sure that we look at everything line by line, even if it's 4,000 lines of code, which I think the first audit was. And we're going to go through it, and we're going to be thorough, and we're going to try to find every little thing that we can find out of it, even if it's something tiny, even if it's something that's not important, because if it's there, it's there, and it should be included, and that's important. When it comes down to the financials, that's another thing where if you're following something, you don't know where it's going to lead when you're going down that rabbit hole. You might be looking at if they're moving a bunch of money and it ends up in a CEX, it might end up in the hands of a wallet where it's a phishing wallet, or it just might end up nowhere, and it might just end up sitting in a wallet, just sitting there doing nothing. But that's when we go back afterwards and we talk to the project, we talk to the team, and we just ask them questions, and we see if what information they give us matches what we found. And hopefully it does. And if it does, then we know we're okay. If it doesn't, then we know maybe we have to ask a few more questions, or we know that there's a red flag that's popping up. So we go the extra step beyond what anybody else does, looking at this, looking at the financials, looking at the audits. The first one we did with Fort Block Games, like we just kind of had fun with it and going down as deep and as much as we can find. I mean, we ended up finding addresses and stuff like that. That just, it's not a bad thing. It just shows that that's how much these guys were not trying to hide. You know, they weren't caring about if they were doxxed or not. They were putting themselves out there for people to show that they could be trustworthy, which is a good thing. And so when we find that much information, we know we're dealing with legit people who aren't worried about trying to run and hide after the fact if something happens, because they're not going to be able to. So if you're able to find that much, then you can feel safer. So that's basically what we're doing.
Now you're talking about the smart contract audits, right? Because from what I heard from what Zeus spoke on the full project audits, not only you guys going to do the comprehensive manual audit in the contract, but you guys going to go beyond that, which is to also audit other aspects of the project, whether that's a team behind that, whether that's a project mission in the community. And so is that what I'm hearing? Is that how I just resume? Is that what you were alluding to? That's going to be very comprehensive. It's beyond the contract, right?
Yep. Because one of the things that I do before I came on board to Innovia, I have my own channel that I run and I teach people is if you just look at the contract, you don't know if it's safe or not. You don't know if it's going to rug or not. You don't know if it's a LARP, or you just don't know. Scammers, they evolve. They learn to adjust to things, and they find other ways to take your money. So if they evolve, we have to evolve too. So just running a scanner on a contract, it's not enough anymore. We have to go the extra mile to make sure that we keep people safe. And that's what we're all about here. So we do that. We do everything in our possibility, try to focus on security so that people know that if we go through something and we call it safe, that we checked every little thing that we could possibly think of to try and call it safe.
But it's still on the, I just want to make sure that I understand this correctly. On the full project audit, is it beyond the security measure? Or you guys get into the aspect of like, okay, looking at the team, does the team have a, good, background experience that related to the project? Is the community also great? Social media,
Okay, so yeah.
Is that what you guys do beyond security, or just security only on the full project audits?
I heard you starting to speak. You want to continue on?
So I was going to say, it's completely past, or not past, but on top of any security through the project itself. It's going to go into that team as a whole, that community. I mean, quick like upfront viewing of like, oh, is their Telegram botted by 2,000 members and they have 2,300 in there? Things like that. Like, we're going to go very in depth on how that community has been. Is it a real community? Is that team member involved in other projects? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It depends on how those other projects performed. You know, a lot of these projects have the same developers or marketing teams, which can be good and bad depending how professional they are or if they're upfront about it. So we're going to uncover all of that and go into detail about if that's a good thing for this project or not.
Yeah, I think that's actually going to be very interesting, and I think that's going to really differentiate you guys. You know, if you guys are consistent on that and prove that you guys are able to identify and weed out some of the great projects, right? I think that's going to really differentiate you guys because, like you guys spoken earlier there, you know, now that you just have auditing projects, right? They just scan the contract, they just mainly focus on the the contract itself, but not necessarily the full audit on everything out there, right? And maybe give it the ranking of the project so that way your community knows, where to invest in a way when they look at the project. So I think once you guys prove that, man, I think that's gonna really differentiate you guys. By the same token, I can definitely see how that can affect you guys as far as bringing in clients, right?
Yeah,
How
so
that.
that's the I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but I've said it, you know, from since before launch, we probably won't make a lot of friends in this industry, because we will be, you know, calling some out or putting some information out there that a lot of people might not like because maybe they're, you know, on that project or they're invested in that project. And I mean, would it be right if we found this information and didn't share it though? In the end, that doesn't sound right to me. So we'll put our information out there, and people can use it how they choose. So yeah, there's going to be some backlash to us, because people are kind of emotionally attached to projects.
Right, right, yeah. That is the dilemma of what you guys do. But I think once you guys uh prove yourself, once you guys proving yourself, I think that's gonna really differentiate you guys there on that aspect of it. And I think if it catches on, you guys can grow the community in a big way. You know, if it works out correctly. But I do have a question though. So the full project audits, is this an option for a client, or is this something that you guys will do automatically? So let's say a project comes up to you. Do they get to pick? I just want a smart contract audit only, or they have an options to say I do want a full project audit. How does that work?
I mean, I will always recommend a project to have a full project audit and along with a KYC verification. If they're just doing a smart contract audit, we can offer it, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can have this service, but it's really not even a recommended one. Just to stick with that, it doesn't really. I'm not going to give them my green flag of saying like, hey, this contract came back clean. Like, we know nothing about the team or what their intentions are. So
there's probably going to be certain situations where you might have somebody coming to us early on before they're launching that they might not need a full project audit. And that would be situational where, you know, they might prefer one over the other and it might be okay still.
yeah, and
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
good point. There's not much that, you know, especially post or pre-launch, can't dive into taxes or transactions as much at that point. But if they're, you know, that's where we'd really recommend a KYC along with a smart contract audit. And then the possibility of diving deeper into that project after launch.
Right. And I assume that you guys will let your community know which project had gone through just a regular smart contract audit and which project has gone through a full audit, correct?
Yeah, that'll be big on letting the community and all the groups know, this project did a just standalone smart contract audit, or this project did a full project audit, or they did whatever combination you see fit, like full project and KYC. So we'll definitely label what each project has done and whether, of course, they've passed or failed any of those fields.
Okay. All right, sounds good. That's actually very interesting. Like again, I think that if this idea, if it's actually you guys can actually prove this idea and be consistent on weeding out, the winners and the losers, etc. I think that's going to be huge. Because right now, just people don't know where to go. To be honest with you, even if you get a great audit contract, right? Like if your contract's great, doesn't mean that the project's going to do well. Doesn't mean that there's a legitimate team behind us going to keep on working on the project, right? But there's so many factors involved in the project that's very hard to differentiate, right? But I'm not sure what your parameters are, but like I said, if you guys can pull this off, I think it's going to be huge. All right, so the KYC verification, there are a lot of companies out there that do KYC. Let's speak on that, like what differentiate you guys and how you guys approaching this.
Yeah, and I think it's great to differentiate yourself. We want to be different, but also the fact of auditing and KYC projects, we should be working as a layer of security. So all these projects or companies should be working together in a forum. I think it's always great if a project has multiple layers of audits or KYCs done on them. And so our KYC, it's in depth, but maybe it's, comparable to other projects, or not projects, but companies out there, as far as we're, checking the, validity of their documents they choose, whether it's, passport, state ID, driver's license, anything like that. And obviously checking the match between the information that they've input and whether that matches whatever document they've provided, and also the live video recording of them that matches, that document photo matches who is actually in that video and who we're having a conversation with. We will, of course, do more due diligence on kind of diving deep into who that person actually is, and doing our own, background checks on that person. And, if they say they're located, or their team's located in Miami, Florida, are they actually in Florida, or are they in, another state, or even another country? So I think, the KYC aspect of things is pretty generic, but it's something that we take very seriously, and it's something that I'm always going to recommend to a project. And if they deny that recommendation, that'll be my first red flag. So that's kind of how I look at it, is the KYC aspect of things is such a small portion of it, but it has such a big impact, and it has a lot of information you can pull whether they're going to do it or not. Because if they don't want to do it, they're already trying to hide something. And, that's caution to take right there.
Let me add a little bit of something to that too. Just from our Fort Blocks Games audit itself, after the KYC came back, we had the information on him and such. So we knew what to look for. We knew where, as you said, where they should be. So with that information, when I'm going in and doing a deeper dive on them, we know that it's supposed to match up. And so we're looking for things. If we find business documents and such, we know the addresses are going to have to match. We can find, the amount of stuff that's out there on the internet for you to find, it's actually kind of scary. You can find tax documents for your home. That matched up too. Everything that we found on these guys led back to same address, same name, same information that we found from the KYC. So we could take it a step further and we can make sure, okay, this is not just some guy that they hired to try to do it. We can ask questions about the project itself to make sure this guy is from the project itself. It's not, once again, just some guy that they hired to try to KYC for a fake team. So going through a KYC ourselves, we know what's going to be done. We know what to expect. And then we can take that and take it that step further so that we can add that extra layer of security on top of it.
So let's say if there's a project that may just want to get a KYC through you guys only and somehow ended up rugging the project, right? Because we know there are many ways to rug a project. Are you guys willing to put out the identity to the public, to your community? How's that work?
That might cross that might cross some legal barriers. We can report them to you know, officials and legal sources. Dumping their information onto the public might cross some gray areas.
Yeah,
but we can definitely
doxing.
have that information to report them.
Doxing's illegal in a lot of places, so it wouldn't be the first time that I found information on scammers and literally exactly where they lived and offered it to law enforcement agencies. So it's something I've done before. So I've been down that road before, sadly.
Does pink cells kind of off topic though? Because I remember at one point, now I have not been to pink cell room for a while, but I remember back then they used to release identities like that all the time. Are they still doing that over there? You know?
I can't speak on that. I'm not sure if they're still doing that. So I can't answer that thoroughly.
Okay, understood. Yeah, because I remember every single day there's always some kind of like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the issue, is that's an everyday thing. I mean, if you look on DEX tools and see the new pairs popping up, there's a dozen an hour. So
Right.
that's the issue in this industry, and what we want to at least slow down. We're not going to be able to stop it completely, but hopefully we can slow it down.
Right. Yeah, I mean, having a project, having a KYC through a third party like a company like yourself, that I think is crucial, right? And we all know that we cannot prevent back actors or a project that won't be rocked 100%. But it's definitely gives that extra measure to ensure that the project is safe, and that's all we can do. You know, like companies like yourself, that's all you guys can do, and definitely we understand that. All right, so the next one we have here is called Verify Project Listing. What is that?
Yeah, so the verified project listings, that's where we are just announcing those verified projects, where it's basically a marketing tool for these projects. We will announce those in multiple channels, and then we will be featuring them on our website as well, and giving them that, you know, that spotlight as well. So it's just a way to kind of up their marketing and their exposure as a verified project from us.
Okay, and you guys will announce that through your social media channels, and just to let the community know that that they had gone through the audits. Is that pretty much what it is?
Correct. Yeah, so we'll announce it on our Twitter, on our Telegram groups, and on our website as well.
I see. Okay, so very basic. So pretty much a marketing marketing tool.
Yeah, it'll just come with those audits. So if they've paid for those project audits, it'll just be a form of basically marketing for them and showing both audiences, our audience and their audience as well, that they have been, you know, through the ringer with us, and they passed a verified project from us.
Okay, all right, straightforward. Now I know that we touched on the smart contract already. I think one of the things that you guys said that really differentiate you guys is that you guys would be manually auditing the contract. Now let's just touch a little bit on that as well. Now, how efficient is your smart contract? So let's say right now, I know you guys are starting out, but let's say 5 contracts today. What's your capacity? Like what can you guys do? How efficient is your audit? So let's say I have a project coming in. I say, hey, I want this done tomorrow, in 2 days from now. How efficient is your processes right now currently?
So our process is to audit a project if they came to us today and say, hey, we need this by Wednesday. Is that the question?
Yeah.
I'll be very upfront that I'm not going to promise any quick turnaround time. I think if projects are promising this is going to be a 24-hour turnaround time, that's a red flag right there, because you don't know what you're going to find in an audit. And, one simple transaction can take you down a wormhole of transactions on where those funds are going. So I want us to do quality audits, not quick audits. And, I'm not gonna promise any quick turnaround times up front. I will never do that. I think I can say that if we had a clean project come to us, that you'll never know up front, but that there's no really red flags. Everything's going as we see fit. Maybe 3 to 5 days, but we're never going to guarantee a quick, 24, 48 hour turnaround time. That's not in our sales pitch, let's call it. And then, we're going to be asking the project for information as well. We're going to have a lot of back and forth from them. And, especially if they're doing KYCs, the turnaround time can be very dependent on those projects too.
Well said. No, it's actually crucial that a company like you guys take time, right? Take time to really audit the contract, because ultimately it's not about the company or the projects coming to you. It's about the investors that will be investing to the project, right? So I think it's necessary to take the necessary time to audit the contract. So yeah, no, well said. All right. So Education Hub, what is that about?
So Education Hub, I'll actually let Tanner kind of elaborate a little more on this one.
Yeah, so Education Hub is just kind of one of those terms that we're using, right, to where we're tying it into either our private channel, educational material on the website. It really is just kind of insight into how Saint and Martin's brain works, what to look for, what to do. If you're checking out a project that we're not involved in, what tools can you equip yourself with education-wise that makes it to where you could at least give yourself a fighting chance to be looking at a real project and hopefully not getting scammed anyway. Obviously, like we said, nothing's guaranteed, but if we can help equip our users with at least the skill set to know what to look for, going, oh, hey, I saw these guys doing this. Let me check out the wallet transactions. Let me see where the funds are going. That's that added layer of benefit to the private channel, as well as marketing for our website, to where if somebody's like, hey, check out this website, they've got some good material to read on. It's just more exposure for us. So we're really excited about that function.
Yeah, really cool stuff. I think education is, I think it's going to be a big part of the space as the space evolves, right? Right now, I gotta say, man, it's a mess. Like, even now, I mean, I've been in the space for a long time. Coming up 7, 8 years. I don't know. It's been a very long time, and I still feel like there isn't a way for right, to onboard people easily. I don't know. It's very hard. It's like so many different wallets. There's so many different measures you got to go through. I don't know how that's going to happen, but we need educations. We need people to come into space that they can learn really fast and get into space accordingly. Right now, we just can't do it, and I think that's probably the reason why the onboarding process is a little slower than I thought. I really thought like around, the adoptions will be a lot better than where it's actually.
Well, yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head that the Education Hub is a great way to onboard new users. The biggest, hurdle we have to overcome when telling our friends and family about it is all they hear about how is everything's a scam, whether they're watching the news or doing this. And I don't know how to set up a wallet. How do I get funds here? And it's just a plethora of questions that they have to go through. And if we can bridge that gap between how uniform it can be and how it's not as crazy as it sounds. And we can create a nice platform to where a friend, instead of saying, hey, let me show you, he can say, hey, join this private channel, check out this website, look at the material. They've got a nice deep depth breakdown on how to, onboard your money, how to trade wisely, what to look out for. I think if we can, and that's just better for the space in general, is that the more educated users we have looking out for scams, knowing how to trade, knowing what to look out for, it elevates this industry even further, which is great for everybody. My whole thing is high tide raises all boats. So let's make sure we try to raise that tide together and educate our people. So you nailed it right there.
100%. Now, the educational hub, I'm assuming that that's going to be like within your Telegram, or where is that going to be at?
So again, we can always offer some free material on the website, like we talked about, but I think the private channel is going to be a really neat way to have it as like a live education hub. And, and what I mean by that is, if you're joining that private channel, not only are you supporting the tokenomics and the community, which again, it's strictly around community functions, you're going to be able to join this private channel and learn from Saint, learn from Martin, talk to other people, really engage and go, hey, I found this. What do you guys think about it? Just really creating a culture of having each other's back in this channel, in addition to, putting free articles on the website for everyone to have access to in case they don't want to join the private channel, don't have the funds necessarily. Education is important, but a lot of the in-depth details we can almost use as a utility as well. So it's going to be a nice blend of both.
I can see that, I think within the space alone, I know there's a lot of people that actually really want to understand the basic of the contract, right? And I have not seen to date where there's a channel on other company that actually go on live, maybe have a little course here and there just for basic things. I think that'll be very beneficial to everyone.
Yeah, I just want to add in here one big thing on why all these projects, we'll just scam projects or rug projects work, is because no one knows what they're doing. So we have all these new people coming into the industry and jumping into some of these projects, and then the next day their liquidity sold or the team's vanished. So I think education is one of the, if not the biggest thing you can do for this industry. Like you said, you've been around 6-7 years now. You're probably still learning things every single day. So we want to create a platform to spread more education out there, give some people some helpful information and resources to help stop that.
100%. All right, so the next feature we have, this is coming soon, and I know that you spoke on the Escrow Services. For those that may not know what that is, could you elaborate on that a bit more? And assuming that that's going to be the new feature of the project, right? And you may have some more down the line.
As far as the Escrow Services, did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, so you have a section that says new feature on your website coming soon. So I'm assuming that's the service that you guys will be working on that is not posted on here yet.
Yeah, so we haven't announced any of that really yet. So that'll be more focused on a utility aspect for our general audience. We're not speaking of the escrow factor of that. Escrow is very public. We're very public about that being a service for projects. That new feature block is something else that we're working on behind the scenes. That will be actually a utility that that all of our holders can use. So that I don't want to get it too much into, but that's not pertinent to the escrow side of things.
Understood. So for those that are listening right now, they may not know what escrow is. Could you describe what that is?
Yeah. So what we mean by escrow is we're just going to be the neutral party in between projects and where those projects are sending funds to. So we're going to be kind of that middleman, if you want to think of it that way, the middleman between projects and, let's say, a marketing company that they're hiring, or a KOL that they're onboarding, KOL group that they're onboarding. We're going to be tracking those transactions and really actually signing off on those transactions. So this will in turn generate revenue for our project, but it also give investors in those projects clarity and more security that their marketing and development funds are all being handled accordingly.
So you guys are going to be acting like a middleman to ensure that both parties meet their agreements to each other.
Exactly. That's perfectly said. Yes.
Sounds great. All right. Let's talk about the roadmap. Where are we at on things? I love that. But actually, looking at your roadmap right now, I like the fact that you guys literally crossing things out as you guys achieve your goal, and I love that. So right now, it looks like you guys are working on the educational hub and the escrow platform. Correct?
Correct. So like I said, the escrow platform is like, our planning phase. We're kind of getting everything tied together on that, and then we'll release that. I'm hoping before Q4 or phase 3 should actually come before that. But we want to be a little conservative because there's always, speed bumps in the road. But yeah, right now our focus is on one of the utilities that we'll be releasing here shortly that we're not diving into too much, but also that education hub. Like we said, we're very passionate about that aspect of things, and we're getting that together. I want to almost call them courses, but our articles on that, so that we can have a good amount of information available when we launch that.
And phase 3, you got the escrow platform released. Community reporting system development. That sounds interesting. What is that?
Our community reporting system, is that what you were mentioning?
Yeah, I'm looking at phase 3 right
Phase
now.
3. Yeah, so that's going to be where our community is actually much more involved. Like I said, in that private group, that's where we're going to be, working alongside a lot of the community in there. And that's also where our community can actually bring us projects that maybe they're involved in, maybe they have some concerns about, or maybe they think it's a very good project and they should be, audited or KYC'd through us. That's something that we can almost put like a vote together of, here's a couple projects that you guys as a community have mentioned. Which one should we dive into first?
Interesting. All right. So, with this type of company or what you guys are doing, it does require some sort of marketing and possibly partnerships with other law, etc. Is that something that you guys are working on, and how do you guys approach this as far as getting your awareness out there to developers in a sense?
As far as, what do you mean as far as developer? You just mean other teams and projects?
Yeah, like how are you guys raising awareness to your company for developers to say, hey, Innovia is here, I want to get an audit through them?
Of course. So a lot of our audits and our kind of partnerships that we've formed so far are working on the fact of, we can offer incentives as far as referrals through us. So we'll do a lot of outreach on projects that we think should require an audit or a KYC or our services as a whole. Obviously, escrow coming as well. But we think that just as long as we continue to push out these audits and these services, that it'll exponentially grow in that aspect of things.
So right now, to date, you guys, I'm looking at your website, so it's obvious that you guys had audit a project before. And how did that process go? Was it pretty smooth for you guys?
For our audit on the Fort Block games?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll let, I think Saint has to jump off soon, but I'll let him speak on that real quickly, on that process of the Fort Block games. He might, okay, perfect.
No, I'm here. Don't worry. Yeah, it went pretty smoothly. Being our first one, we're trying to set up a template on what we wanted to do. And we know that each and every time that we're doing it, we're going to try to improve on that as well. So that way we get better and better, and we kind of expect more from ourselves. So that way we keep improving and providing more of a service as well. But we know our abilities, and so working together and letting each other know what we needed and communicating, it was pretty smooth. The biggest thing was just getting back and forth with Fort Block Games themselves and communicating with them when we needed to find things out, such as when we were looking at their wallets and we wanted to confirm and make sure that they said the same thing that we found. So that way there wasn't any issues, or trying to get the KYC done. Cause that's something that when you talked about earlier, setting like a 24-hour deadline, we have to work on things with the team itself too. So that communication back and forth sometimes takes a little bit of time working with the schedule, especially depending on where people live in the world. So it's really not as bad as people think, to be honest. But if Martin wants to jump in as well.
I think you got it mostly covered, to be honest. Unless there's anything specific.
You might want to talk about just some of what you do diving into the sites and such like that.
All right. Well, so in terms of the background checking, which is what I'm good at this, committing the open source intelligence searches for usernames, and also when Usaint helped me out with connecting wallets to usernames, is really helpful. One of my the best trick I have for checking a project if it's legit early on is just checking their website, how old their SSL certificates are. So let's say a website has existed for 4 days, but they claim a bunch of stuff in the white paper. You can just tell, pretty fast that it's not legit unless they have a very obvious reason, like migrating their site somewhere or whatever. Usually I will also open up the source code of the website and just go through if I can find anything that makes it look like a template, or maybe they're stealing images, content from other pages. There's really a bunch of things you can do when it comes to open source intelligence and background checking.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, like you say there, crypto. I think being the projects, of course, you guys are gonna go through a lot of different aspects of auditing the project, but most importantly, the thing like you said is always find ways to continuously improve, right? And that goes with every single company or projects out there, right? So that's crucial as long as you keep on growing. Yeah, sounds good, guy. I mean, it's basic. I mean, straight to the point. You guys are pretty much a company that ensure auditing the crypto projects out there to make sure that you bring trust to the space, to bring trust to the community. And I do like the full projects audit. Now I'll be really paying attention to that aspect of it, because I think that's going to be really interesting. But not only interesting, but I think that shows me that you guys are very confident in what you're doing. If you guys can implement that to your vision, I think that's going to really differentiate you guys apart. The tokenomics, I know you guys have spoke on 5% in, 5% out. Let's go in depth on that. Where are they going?
As far as the 5%, to which aspect of things? To the
like
private sale?
the allocations to it. The 5%. So let's say 5% in, 5% out. On the tax, right? What, like the distribution, like the percent of it, like what percent goes to what?
I see. Sorry. So we have the 5% tax. It's just on the buy and sell, so no transaction tax. But that is split up. We have 1.5% going towards marketing. We have 1% going towards development, and then 1.5% going towards our buyback and burn to keep that healthy. And then we also have 1% going towards liquidity. And then that's all, of course, labeled on our white paper as well, so people can view it there as well.
Okay. So yeah, so you guys, so the token is a deflationary token with a buy and burn function there. So ultimately, it reduces the total supply, which
Correct.
in turn brings value to the token. Okay, so I do like that aspect of it. Yeah, it looks really good, guys. I think we'll see how you guys do with as far as implementing your referral program, marketing program. But it seems like you guys have everything intact. Just a matter of raising awareness to your projects and letting developers know that you guys are here and that you guys can do a good job for them. And vice versa. It's for both sides, right? You have the investor side and you have the developer side as well to focus on, right? So I think you guys can build the trust on both sides. I think you guys are good. Yeah, I have nothing negative from my side. Looks good.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I encourage again, guys. The chart's looking really good as well. 44% overnight. Chart's looking really good actually. Good LP ratio.
Yeah, we wanted to provide a very good liquidity. We wanted to provide that right off the start, so the chart wasn't, super volatile or anything like that. Like, we're here to, for the long run, we're going to make it through, all the bull and bear cycles. And so we want a healthy liquidity and a healthy chart. That's, if we want to talk price, that's what we're looking at. But
yeah, looks good. Looks really good. Now, did we miss anything? Is there something else you guys want to speak upon? Or if not, we can go take a few questions from the community, if that's okay.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we did cover all bases. If anyone else from the team has anything to add real quick. If not, then we can just go straight to questions. I know, Saint, you said you have to take off very soon.
No, I'm good now.
Okay. So, yeah, if anyone else has anything, they can add in, and then we can jump to questions.
No, I'm good. We can go right to questions.
Okay,
Perfect.
sounds good. So as you guys are thinking about whether there's anything else you guys want to speak on, I'm gonna go through the banner here. So usually our community will post their questions under the comments section on the banner itself. So you guys can go there with me as well if you want and go through it and pick a few questions here. But a lot of the questions most likely we probably covered already. But I do have a question here from Master Planner. He says, how does the project approach marketing and promotion to build awareness and excitement for the project? And I think we kind of touched on that already, but if you guys want to recap that really quick, that'd be great.
Yeah, we did touch on that a little bit, and I think just adding on to, as far as every audit we release, whether it's a good or bad audit, that's going to bring exposure to our project. It'll, bring exposure to the project that it affects. And then we're also, we'll continue to be doing AMAs. We'll continue. We wrapped up a Zeely giveaway campaign. We had great participation in that as well as our first one. So we'll continue to do that as well. I mean, our project is to be involved in the community. So we're looking to engage them any way we can.
All right, thanks for that. Now, this is actually interesting questions. I'm not sure it's relevant, but I think she says, what role do automated scanning tools play in Innovia Trust smart contract auditing service? Now, do you guys have automatic scanner as well, or is that something that's actually you guys have the automatic scanner that the public can use eventually as well?
Okay, so we don't provide one ourselves. Maybe sometime we'll find some perfect partner to partner with that we can work something out and co-market with. But we do have ones that I use. I use multiple ones because unfortunately there's a lot of them out there that are not extremely accurate. So you have to kind of double check with them. But that's kind of where the manual audit comes along. So when you're trying to teach people how to do things with an automatic, that's why you have to use multiple of them and kind of see which kind of direction it's leaning towards, because one might tell you that there's a hidden owner and then the other three might tell you that everything's fine. So you're going to get conflicting information a lot. So there's multiple of them that we rely on when we're looking through them and we're trying to go through that section. But in the end, it still comes down to we have to go through everything manually and see what they missed.
Yeah, I've actually myself, I've used like 4 different scanners, like you said, scanners, they just don't work all the time. So I think having an experience like you guys where you actually go line per line, just to double check, I think it's actually crucial because, myself, my experience, I use one scanner, this says something, I use another scanner, this says a different thing. So yeah, it's not 100% correct with those automated scanner.
Yeah, for the everyday person, if you can avoid having to go through it manually, it's a lot better to not have to.
Exactly.
It takes more time.
For sure. So $1 Million says, what kind of partnerships and collaborations does Innovia Trust have in plan?
As far as partnerships that we have in plan, I mean, I can't elaborate too much on those because we'll never really announce a partnership until it's solidified completely. But we do expect you guys to see our names as far as like trusted auditing companies on, Dex Screener, Dex Tools. We see ourselves partnered with, the likes of like Ledger and, Tinzer and our Treasure Wallet, excuse me. So that's kind of things that we're looking at, but we're not going to announce any partnerships that aren't solidified just yet.
Thanks for that there, Zeus. This is actually a very interesting question because this kind of leads to the marketing side of it as well. But she said, or Pygmy says, does Innovia Trust offer ongoing support or consulting services after completing an audit?
That's something that we've talked about. We'll always kind of keep our eyes on projects after they've been audited. You never, we can't just at 100% say, yeah, this project's good, and take care. We'll always keep our eyes on projects. But as far as like ongoing support for projects, that's something that will be on, a case by case situation. So we will offer those services, but that's going to be, subject to those projects and those teams.
Sorry about that. I was actually on mute there. Okay, yeah, thanks for that. It's actually really interesting questions because I have not yet to. But then that kind of opens a different whole side to the to the company too, right? Because now you do everything in house, and that can be conflicting as well. Yeah, I think that's another subject there. But like you said, you never know, right? So I think with every company like you guys, you're just gonna have to adjust and adapt accordingly as you grow and expand, right? So you cannot possibly just roll out every single thing in day one. That's just too much. All right, so I think that wraps up, guys. There's a lot of questions in the room, but after this, I will go ahead and pin your TG in the room, and I encourage everyone to go there. Maybe Mike will pick a one winner and ask more questions over there as well. Hey, Innovia, you guys did a heck of a job presenting your project. I love the name, by the way. Who made up the name? Who came up with the name? Innovia. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, it popped up to me, so we rolled with it.
I love the name. Yeah,
I
really
appreciate
awesome,
that. Yeah, and then I just wanted to add, I really appreciate you guys, taking this time to do the AMA with us. I was in this group back in 2021 when Mike showed it to me, and it was very important for me to get in front of you guys on a different, as a different perspective now from, being an investor to now into a project. So it's been a huge opportunity. And I do want to say, I know there is a lot of questions in this chat. So if people do want to jump into our Telegram and ask them there, we can continue that conversation there. But I know some of us have some other stuff that we need to take care of. So that would be the best place to tag us and go through those questions as well.
100%. So I will post the TG, guys. So go there. Mike's gonna go ahead, pick one $10 winner there, and give a feedback, right? But do not spam the room. Just give a meaningful feedback on the AMA and about the project, and Mike will pick a winner over there as well. Santa Mike. The funny thing is that the I think I kind of know what project you're talking about as far as your bad experience with the project that you guys were involved in. So it's actually really cool that you had gone through that experience, which like pretty much a rug project, right? That you did not think that was going to happen, and that inspired you to create a security company like this. So I think there's a story behind it there. That's really cool, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember the name right now, but I think the project owner was actually a very active community member in our group as well 3 years ago. I forgot his name.
Yeah, Jeremy is his name.
That is it. That's
Apollo.
it.
Apollo and baby
Yeah.
Apollo. So yeah, I actually still have a conversation saved in my Telegram from him, in case I ever needed it. But yeah, it was an unfortunate event. I know a lot of us were involved in it pretty heavily, so it affected me. And this project was a long time coming. So I'm excited to be on the other end of that, and to hopefully prevent that to some standard.
Awesome story, brother. That's awesome. This is actually the story behind it, and that's the reason why you're doing what you're doing now. So that's really awesome. Sounds great, guys. Innovia team, thank you so much for being here. But before you go, if you guys don't mind, just scroll down and just pick one AMA listener for me, so that way, I they don't think that I pick somebody that I know.
Oh yeah, of course.
Do.
Scroll down. Let's see. Let's go with Texas C.
Texas C. Perfect. If you can just grab their username and DM me with that name, that'd be awesome, brother.
Okay, yeah, I will do that. Let me try and get it.
Sounds good, guys. So once you're done an AMA with us, you guys want us to do any update, just let us know. There's no charge involved. Just hey, if you have a new development, etc., just send us the post and we'll pin it for you.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. We'll definitely do that.
Sounds good. And you guys are welcome to come to the room and just post anything you want in there, right? We always want to look for and support great projects. As long as you stay legitimate, we would love to support you.
Of course, yeah. I appreciate all the support we can get. Obviously we're a very small project, but like I said, I think things are going to change in that aspect very shortly.
We all start from somewhere.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate so much. If you don't have last word for us, we can go ahead and wrap it up. But before that, guys, I just want to make sure that just for the fun aspect of it, we have 175 listeners here. When I open up the room, let's do 1 to 250, 5 guesses only, just to win another $10 for fun. All right, guys, 5 guesses only. Is there a last word for us, Team Innovia?
No, I think we covered everything. I just really appreciate everyone who's tuned in to listen to us, who stayed the whole time, and then you guys as well for putting it on for us.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Mike, you want to say something, Mike? It's actually awesome to see. I know Mike has a history with you guys, and I think he's in the middle of something right now. Mike, you there?
I am. Yeah, I was just listening in there. I had a quick second. I'm painting the bottom of the boat today. So, Gabe, it's good to you. Stick at it, man. Good team that you found here, and you'll definitely be. I'll be following along with everything you guys got going on. Definitely, really appreciate what you guys are going to be doing for the space.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's nice. It's nice being in here and being able to catch up and then just show what we're producing.
100%.
Awesome,
all right, guys.
Well, it was Tom again, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Awesome. Take care, you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Take care. Bye-bye.